There comes a point in every girl's life when you realize that the most important person you ever going to date is yourself. Because you understand that no guy out there can give you what you truly need. And that is feeling 100% on your own and enjoying your own company. It's funny because most people are amazing at showing up for others. We rearrange our whole schedule for someone that we care about. We prepare, we plan, and we try to make it special when it's a date with someone we like, when it's a friend date even. But when it comes to ourselves, we don't have that same impulse. We cancel, we postpone, or we tell ourselves, oh, I will just do that later. So why is it so easy for us to just show up for others, but never for ourselves? Is this how it really is supposed to be, or did we just get it twisted along the way? So in today's video, I'm going to help you turn self-love from just a cute idea into a daily habit, an underrated habit that is going to transform your relationship with yourself so much that is going to set the tone for every other relationship you have. And I'm also going to give you an underrated habit that is going to transform your relationship with yourself so much that is going to set the tone for every other relationship that you have. And this habit is the habit of dating yourself. And you probably have heard people say to you before, date yourself first. And you were like, but what does that really mean? Is it just taking myself out for coffee, buying myself flowers, or is it something deeper than that? Well, don't worry, because in today's video I'm going to break down how to master dating yourself, not just as an act of independence, but as an act of devotion towards the most important relationship you're ever going to have, and that's the relationship with yourself. So if you want to understand exactly how to build the self-love habit that is going to make your own company feel like home, then let's get into it. As always, these are the chapters for today's video. So what do I mean by dating yourself? Do I mean that you swear off relationships and you have that I'm going to marry myself attitude? Dating yourself means building a relationship with yourself that mirrors the kind of love that you have always wanted from someone else. How do you actually act when you're dating someone that you like? You make time for them, you listen to them, you try to get to know them, you plan special things, you learn what makes them feel loved. So dating yourself is doing that exact same thing for you. It's learning how to show up for yourself with openness and curiosity instead of always instantly being like judging yourself and criticizing yourself. It's learning to be your own lover than your own hater. I love that so much because it's honestly so simple to just see it like that. Why are you spending your time and energy in being your own hater when you could be your own lover? And I went through this myself. I realized that I was pouring all of this energy trying to get to know other people when I didn't even know myself. And it just really shocked me when I put one and one together, because how did something so obvious never cross my mind? It's because no one tells us that this is actually important. They only normalize and they glorify being known and being understood by someone else, by other people. But never did anyone told us, you should take the time and you should take the care for yourself. So this became my mission, to start getting to know myself first and then also starting to learn about my own love languages. And once I learned that, I knew what I needed and I knew what I loved. So it became so effortless for me to show up for myself in ways that I knew they will make me feel loved. It's one of the biggest hacks of dating yourself, to learn your love languages and then give them to yourself every day, every week, every month. You basically find some ways to honor your love languages and show to yourself that you care. To find my own love languages out, I started asking me questions. Questions like, what makes me feel loved? What do I need right now? What do I need usually? How can I make my own presence feels like something that is peaceful instead of something that feels like pressure and lonely and negative? And this literally taught me how to become emotionally self-sufficient, and not in the I don't need anyone kind of way, but in the I don't need anyone to fill my own emptiness way, in the I am whole and complete on my own way. Why does this matter? Why is it important? Why should you bother getting to know yourself, learning your love languages, learning what are your wants and your needs? Why should you spend all of your energy dating yourself when you could just spend that time and that energy dating someone else? Maybe you will learn yourself through dating them, and anyway, it's way more fun that way, right? Well, sure, you can try that, but let's imagine for a second how much different of an experience will it be showing up 50% secure in yourself versus 100% secure in yourself. It's just very obvious to see that it's going to be a complete different dynamic, which is going to influence your experience with that person so drastically. The thing is, when you don't have an 100% loving relationship with yourself, you don't feel whole. And that means you will feel half, so you will subconsciously look for someone else to complete you because you're not whole on your own, you're not whole by yourselves, so you will seek that wholeness through others. So what does this mean practically? You're going to tolerate inconsistency because you crave attention, because you crave affection, you crave safety. You're going to overgive because it feels safer to do that than being ignored. You are going to keep chasing love because you haven't learned to sit with yourself in stillness. Because being with yourself, it scares you off so much because being alone makes you so aware of how incomplete you feel. When I started dating myself and becoming 100% on my own, that pattern completely rewired itself. You think, oh, how is this possible? Just by giving me attention and just healing my trauma and attachment wounds. Life can only heal these things. Like, how can I do that just by giving me attention and dating me? Well, exactly as you said it, love could only heal that, but only one specific type of love. Self-love. Only self-love could heal these wounds. And once I actually put that through my brain, I understood how much I was wasting my time before, looking for love and looking for healing in all of the wrong places. By loving and dating myself, I was teaching my body that, love can actually feel safe, it can feel steady, it can feel peaceful, and it doesn't have to be conditional or performative. By doing that, I stopped associating love with anxiety and worry. I started associating it with ease. And all that change had to happen first inside of me before I could find it normal to see it outside of me too. And that's why it matters, because if you want to find true love, that is going to start from you. If you're not your own true love first, anything you attract is just going to be a reflection of the love that you just have for yourself. So dating yourself definitely matters because it teaches you what healthy love is supposed to feel like. And it's very hard to create that with someone else if you don't already have that with yourself. So by doing that, you literally rewire your own nervous system and you're teaching it what to normalize and what to feel familiar around just by giving that love to you. And it seems small and insignificant, but trust me, nothing has as much impact on your love life as your self-love life. So these are some common mistakes that I made myself when I was trying to figure out how to love myself. And these are all my trial and errors that I want to save you from. So take notes. So I used to think that self-love is self-care. But I thought that if I just do the masks, if I do the bubble baths, the affirmations, surely that will mean that I will love myself. But I didn't understand yet that self-love isn't how you treat yourself when you feel good, but it's how you treat yourself when you don't. When you feel uncertain, when you feel sad, or when you even feel ashamed of yourself. I noticed that, it was easy for me to show up for myself when I was doing well, when I was feeling good about myself, when I was on top of my game. But when I was feeling down, when I needed that love and care the most, I wasn't showing up for me in the ways that I needed. And that is called conditional love. And if you're doing that, you're basically teaching yourself that you you are only worthy of love when you're doing well. So if you're doing this, then now you're aware how you need to be. Now you're aware that how you need to be there for you, both in the ups and downs. That's how we teach ourselves that we love us unconditionally, that we are there for us in the good and the bad. And that's how we feel safe and we trust ourselves that we're going to love us no matter what. The second mistake I made was using isolation as empowerment. I really thought that when I was in my dating myself era, that it meant that I don't need anyone anymore. And so I started shutting people out because I was just afraid they could threaten that peace that I was building and they could make me fall back to my old patterns. So for me, it just felt safer just being on my own, because at least that way I just wasn't risking getting used to someone's presence but my own. But I didn't realize that I was using that actually as an excuse for self-protection because I wasn't yet secure and trusting myself completely. That, however, is not self-love. It's lack of self-trust. You don't actually ever going to heal by closing your heart off, but you're going to heal by creating a heart that feels safe with you so much that it can stay open regardless of who is around, because it trusts that you're going to take care of her, so it doesn't need to close off. The third mistake I made was waiting to feel ready. I really thought that I would wake up one day and I will feel worthy, I will feel lovable enough, and I will really feel lovable for me to show up for myself consistently. But the more I chase that perfection to feel deserving of loving and caring for myself, the more I disconnected from myself, the more apart, the more away I got from myself. When you wait for something to change externally, for you to change how you feel internally, you basically take all the power away from you and you give that power to an external condition of your own making. And because it's out of your control and power, that condition might never be met. So you risk never being able to feel internally the way that you want to feel. The mistake here is that we overcomplicate it for ourselves when it's actually very simple. You don't need an external permission to do or to have what you want. That permission only ever comes from you. So stop wasting your time and give yourself that permission slip to feel worthy now. Because honestly, that's the only way you can signal to the universe that, look, I am ready to feel worthy now. I gave myself the permission. You build that worth not by waiting, but by showing up again and again, even when it feels unfamiliar, even if it feels awkward or like abnormal. And that's the thing about love, even with self-love, is that it grows through consistency and not perfection. By showing up every day, consistently, you just prove to yourself that you are worthy being loved every single day with no conditions, with no buts, with no ifs. So where do we start? Before I learned how to date myself, I firstly had to learn how to make real self-love a habit, so much so that it became my default. How can I date myself if I don't even like who I was, if I don't even care and know who I am? So these are the practical steps that I took in achieving self-love first before going into dating myself. First things first, awareness. I started observing how I talk to myself every day. And the goal here wasn't to censor myself, but to just become conscious of my language. So everything that I said to myself, I tried to become aware of it. Would I say this to someone I love? Will I talk to someone that I care about this way? And this is really important, guys, because your inner dialogue shapes your emotional environment, how you think about yourself. Because it all starts how you think about yourself influences how you feel about yourself. And as a result, how you act towards yourself. So it's a cycle that if one of them is off, everything else gets off too. So by observing my inner dialogue, I was able to start catching that negative self-talk. You know, all of those things, that all of those comments, oh, I'm not doing enough, this is so cringe, why am I doing that, why am I like this? And I started to reframe it to be more positive. Like, okay, well, I'm learning, I'm doing my best, and that's all that counts. This is called cognitive restructuring, because every time you're doing this, you are literally restructuring your inner dialogue, and as an extent, you restructure your whole inner environment. This helps so much reframing my relationship with myself, because I literally saw myself from an entirely different angle, from an entirely different light. I spoke to myself as someone that I cared for. So obviously at some point it really started to change the way that I saw myself, because I became more protective over myself, because I became someone that I cared for, someone whose well-being and happiness was important to me. So it really changed my whole self-perception. The second thing that I started doing was keeping micro promises to myself. And you know, the more I did this, the more I realized that confidence doesn't really come from all of the achievements and all of the accolades and all of the things that you have, but it actually comes from the self-trust that you build by doing what you promise yourself you're going to do. That's why so many successful people are confident in themselves. It's not because of the achievements, it's because of the trust that they have built with themselves by following through and by doing the hard things that they said they wanted to do. So this is literally the key to confidence. Confidence, even if you analyze the word, it means to have faith. So that's all what confidence is. Having faith in yourself. So if you do what you say you're going to do, if you stack up all of these past examples of you showing up for yourself, you literally have a library of evidence in your brain of all the things that you did and all of the examples and evidence you have that you showed up and you followed through with your word and you cared enough to do that. So what I did was to start small. You can't go big immediately. So if I said I will go for a mental health walk in the park every day so I can get out of the house and get fresh air, then I will show up and do it every day. If I said I will stop entertaining people who are not pouring back to me the same energy, then I will show up and I will cut these people off. If I said I will meditate and I will journal every morning because this is my emotional check-in time with myself, then I will make sure to not miss it. If I said I will read more, I will read more, and you get it. And that's how I build a reputation with myself as someone who does what she says she will do. And therefore, I started feeling secure with her to protect me and my interests, because I had evidence now that made me feel like now she's not going to be weak and be unable to choose what is best for her. There is no doubt now. There was only certainty. This is literally how you build inner safety. And inner safety is the foundation of self-love. That's when I started dating myself, and I did that as a ritual, not a reward. I was finally in the mental space where I could start dating myself, and I could add that in my routine as a way to show my dedication and my care for myself, and not simply doing that only because I have been burned out and now I needed to reconnect urgently with myself. So the way I did that was having the intention of having at least one day per week where I would take myself out for a coffee date, for journaling or reading in the park. Well, maybe I would take me to get some treat. I also love taking me out book shopping. Just doing my favorite activities with myself. And I will make sure I will make time to do this every week. And the point isn't really the activity, but the intention. You could take yourself out to do all of these things, but do them from the perception of a chore instead of an act of love. The activity without the intention makes it kind of pointless. It's actually the intention behind it that infuses that activity with the understanding that, hey, look, I am worthy of love and I'm worthy of effort from me. I'm doing this because I care for me, and I do this because I want to show up for me in the ways that I know that I love. What I did next really took this to the next level, and that is learning my love languages for myself. So what are love languages? Let's start there first. There are 5 love language types: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. These languages are basically the ways people prefer to give and get love. A lot of people are learning their love languages just so they can share them with their partner and basically tell them, look, this is what makes me feel loved, so please do that, right? But for me, learning my love languages really made me curious. Wait, if these are the ways that I feel loved, if these are the ways I understand I'm being cared for by someone, then why wouldn't I use this to express my love and my care for myself? And we don't really have one love language, by the way. I feel like we all have all of them, but we need them in different percentages. So some people need more quality time, some people prefer more words of affirmations. That's where we really differ. But a healthy, secure relationship is one that shows you all of these love languages with more attention to the ones that you have a preference for. So knowing that one of my love languages is words of affirmation, for example, I will make sure to speak to me in ways that would encourage me, and instead of speaking to me in a way that brought me down. I knew that I value quality time a lot, so that means it's important for me to carve out time to be alone and to be present with myself, giving me like full attention and not just being with myself and distracting myself, not being present with my mind, with my emotions, with my thoughts. I also like physical touch, so I will make sure to give myself physical self-care. Like, I think for here it's very important to move your body, to stretch, give yourself massages or go out for massages. The point here was that I was teaching myself how to love me the way I needed to be loved, the way I understood love. So doing all of these things were very important in building the habit of showing up for myself, in building that self-trust and that inner security that were really what transformed my relationship with myself to a relationship of disconnection, to a relationship of love. Once I had this foundation, I could then build and stack on top of it the habit of dating myself. So where did I start for that one? Well, firstly, I needed to shift my mindset that dating myself, that wasn't alone time, but it was intentional time. The point of that time with yourself is not to distract yourself with scrolling or doing things that actually end up making you feel more disconnected from yourself. The whole point was using that time intentionally to be present with myself and to connect. So I did that with journaling, with going for walks without listening to anything but my thoughts, maybe sometimes having some music to romanticize my life. I did that with reflecting a lot. And so what happened was that my brain started associating my solitude not with loneliness, but with more self-connection, with more peace. Secondly, I made sure to schedule my solo date time weekly. This allowed me to show up consistently, and consistency builds rituals, and rituals is what turns this into a habit. After prepping my mindset, it was honestly so easy to integrate this new habit into my life because I already did the hardest part. The neural rewiring, that was the hardest part. And now I just need to simply stay consistent with my new habit, just make it part of my life, because now this was my normal, to keep showing up for myself, with myself, whether I am or not in a relationship. One of the key rituals that I integrated into my routine to show my affection and show my dedication to myself was meditating and journaling, because for me, I noticed how important was to have these two things in my morning. So I made sure to prioritize them since I knew how important they were for me, for my mental and emotional well-being. You can add your own small rituals. For example, you could make your coffee and enjoy it without any rush, going for a morning walk. This is where it's very important to know yourself and know what you need. Another thing I did was to create a love list, and I really love this one I basically wrote down the things that made me feel connected, that make me feel beautiful or calm, and I committed doing at least one of them every day as a way of showing my love to me. So some of the things that were on the list was like going for walks in the park to read my book shopping, listening to music that made me feel like I was romanticizing my life, wearing clothes that made me feel confident, that made me feel like I was the main character and not just staying in my pajamas all day, speaking kindly to myself. And this was a big one because I feel like we all have a tendency whenever we see ourselves in the mirror to start nitpicking and judging all of the things we see and we don't like. So I really made an effort to start noticing things that I like and I loved and put my focus on that instead. And not as a way to just delude myself, but because I didn't want to keep bringing myself down. These are not rewards, these are really daily investments. They are daily deposits in your self-love account. And the more you get, obviously, the more secure you're going to feel in your relationship with yourself. Another thing that I adopted was having regular check-ins with myself. I mean, we really do that with someone that we are dating. We are texting, we're asking them how they are, how they're feeling. So why are we not doing that daily with ourselves? I think it's so important to just take a moment each day and ask ourselves, how am I doing right now? What do I need more of? Do I need more rest, more movement, more hydration, more silence? Just asking this really helped me become emotionally aware of all of my wants and all of my needs. So now, because I've done this so many times, I can almost instantly know what is wrong with me, what feels off, and what do I need, because now my self-awareness has been tested so many times, and so now as a result I know exactly how to emotionally self-regulate. This habit did so much, by the way, for my anxiety and for my worry, because it really made me feel so grounded in myself. I love this habit. I made sure to celebrate myself weekly. As a person that loves to feel loved and loves to feel seen, I really knew that it was important for me to once in a while do something special for me, purely because I deserve it. Whether that was spa days, watching the sunset, I don't know, this could like really be different depending on what you feel like, what you enjoy. And really this strengthened my bond with myself so much. And finally, I adopted the habit of ending my day, as often as I could, of course, with gratitude and reassurance. This habit really makes such a big difference, especially in the early days where your relationship with yourself is not fully secure yet. You really need that reassurance and you really need that validation more than ever. So make sure that you don't skip this one. So just like you tell yourselves and your loved ones that you are proud of them, that you love them, that you appreciate them, you tell yourself that same thing before bed. You express how grateful you are to yourself for all the ways that you showed up for you today and how much difference that made in your life. And this is very key because it really allows you to close your day with safety instead of anxiety from all of the self-judgment. So instead of closing your day with a PowerPoint of all of the things that you did wrong and all of your failures and your embarrassing moments, make one that is full of all of the things that you are proud of and you are grateful for. It's simple, really, but it's so powerful in changing your perception about yourself and about your life. So you go from seeing yourself as a loser to seeing you as the main character. And that's the energy that we want to embody, right? We want to be the main character, not the loser. Because how can you create a secure and healthy relationship with yourself if in your core you see yourself as a loser? Then of course you're not going to see yourself as easy to love, as worthy to love. It's just having a domino effect that is not really serving you. So if you want a different result, you need to choose to act differently. So that's it for today, guys. You understand now how self-love and the habit of dating yourself isn't something that is done once and is secure with one big gesture. It's something that you do 1,000 times. You build it in 1,000 small gestures by showing up again and again consistently, even when you don't feel like it. When you make yourself the priority, when you keep showing up no matter what mood you're in, your mind is getting rewired and restructured to believe that, I'm worth showing up for. And that's the belief that changes everything. It changes your relationship with yourself, and as a result, the type and the quality of relationships you naturally attract in your life. You know, people can only meet you as deeply you have met yourself. So if you want true unconditional and secure and healthy love, you can only find that if you have made your nervous system so familiar and so safe around that this is what you expect and you naturally get. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. You're gonna find here the journal prompts that you can use to help you to take this advice deeper and further and personalize it to your own patterns and wounds. As always, if you have any questions, let me know, and I will see you on the next one.